Good afternoon, everyone. Mr. Cooper's with us? Okay, excellent. Good afternoon and welcome to the Development Permit Panel for December the 14th, 2022. I hope this is the last panel for this year. Excellent. I'll just do some introduction of the panel. With me is Peter Russell, Director of Sustainability and District Energy, and Mr. James Cooper, who is Director of Building Approvals. And from the staff side, we have Mr. Wayne Craig and some of the planners that are around to answer questions. Just to note that the development permit panel does not deal with any of the zoning issues. We deal with form and character, including landscaping, which I believe is the reason why we are here today. And so I will get some business underway. Motion for adoption. Can I have a mover and a seconder?
So moved.
Any omissions or any changes? Hearing none. Move for adoption.
So moved.
Thank you. So today we are here to look at a general compliance request by Systemus Development Limited for general compliance at 5500, 5502, 5506, and 5508 Williams Road. So if we could have the proponent make a presentation. Following that, we'll have staff comment and panel questions. And if there's anybody here to speak, then we will hear that. So please go ahead.
Here is the screen. Can you see it?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so this permit was applied a few years ago, and development permit got approved in February 2021. However, the development consists of two duplex sharing access driveway. The proposed landscape indicated three trees at the back to be removed because they were dead trees, as we can see on the right with the red cross, 590, 591, and 592. However, unfortunately, when the crew were doing the demolition, they also took down by damaging or by mistake tree number 593. This tree number 593 was supposed to remain, as it's not marked to be removed on the left. We continue with the application and apply for building permit, but then we realized that this has happened on site, and we apply for the general compliance. This was supposed to be the approved plan, or this was the approved plan, so that tree on the left to remain, and then the additional tree added to the site. However, now that that tree with the light green has been removed by mistake, a proposal is to add one more tree just a little further back from the building and move the previously proposed, which was a magnolia, to give room for this new tree to be added. February 2021 is when we receive approval, and this proposed plan on the right is the one we are presenting now for the general compliance, adding one tree, which is crimson spire oak. Landscape will have more information about the tree species, but instead of 2 3 proposed like we had before and one existing, now we have 3 new proposed trees. 2 that were already in previous DP, and 1 that is new with this general compliance. We have now shown the magnolias closer to the intermediate fence and the new 3 crimson spire oak on the left. This is a top view. The back hedge is to remain. The one item that is noted on the drawings is to trim the hedge a little bit, but to remain, just to give a space for the canopy of the new trees. The area clouded with the red is the area where the tree was removed, and the one right beside it behind the kids is the new tree. The magnolia further to the front is the one that we have proposed, but it was just moved slightly. So it will be shown on the right side of the, if we look at the building from the front, and noted again with an aerial view on this slide. We have original picture of the trees that were there before. 590, 591, and 592 were already dead trees. 593 was supposed to remain, but it was accidentally removed. So that will be the presentation from our side.
Yes, my name is Denitsa Dimitrova, PMG Landscape Architect. Pretty much Rosa covered landscape design for that. I just have to add that as per city comment, we covered the replacement trees upsizing for the entire site for both loads. And the new tree, which is used to replace that damaged tree, dead tree, it's Quercus robur crimson, and it's 10 centimeters caliper, and it should be planted 3 meters away from the property line. And the relocated smaller trees we used to have previously, city requested it to be planted 2 meters away from the property line. This is pretty much all I can say about those replacement trees. For the entire site, we have like 3 trees with 8 centimeters caliper, 1 10 centimeters caliper, and for the lot B, we have 2 8 centimeters caliper replacement trees. So I'm open for questions, concerns.
Thank you. So that concludes the presentation from the applicant. So I have the staff comment first, and then we will ask the questions. I think we probably have a few questions to ask. So Mr. Craig?
Yes, thank you. Rosa, if you could stop sharing your screen, please. Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a few comments, if I may. This is a very unfortunate situation that a tree that was identified for retention has been removed. In addition to the replacement tree that was discussed in the applicant's presentation, the replacement trees that were originally proposed as part of the original development permit are being upsized to provide further compensation for the removal of the tree and to provide immediate impact at time of development. There was also a tree survival security associated with the tree to be retained. As a result of the action, that survival security will be forfeited and turned into a cash in lieu contribution to the city's tree compensation fund. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Craig. I guess I have a couple of questions. Number one, was there no arborist appointed for this site, and isn't the arborist supposed to be on site precisely to prevent something like this from happening?
Through the chair, yes, in terms of the development permit, requirements. There was a contract with an arborist required. The arborist was to be on site during any construction activities within the tree protection zones.
So can somebody tell me what actually happened?
I'm the arborist. I'm Terry Woodridge Tree. We weren't informed. We weren't aware that work was being taken on that day. So we were not present.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for being forthright about that. The security that you took that you said was forfeited, Mr. Craig, what is the value of the security taken and what is the portion? What is the dollar value of the forfeiture?
Through the chair, we took a security in the amount of $45,000 for all of the trees that were to be retained. The applicant will be forfeiting $10,000 of that security for the tree that was removed.
Okay, and I guess for the landscape architect, there is no room on the site for more tree planting?
No, it's very tight, and because of the existing hedge at the south, yes, this is the maximum trees.
Okay, thank you. Do the other panel members have any questions before I make some comments? Mr. Russell?
Yeah, Madam Chair. I just wanted to understand the survivability of these trees, the replacement trees in terms of drought tolerance, extreme rains, etc.
They were suggested, like as I said previously, the tree replacement was like type and size have been suggested from the city. So I assume that is good replacement tree type. Previously proposed like that magnolia tree is absolutely, yes. We used to place a lot of magnolia trees, so that is a good tree type proposed for this one. So yes.
Yeah, could you speak to the proposed caliper of the replacement magnolias versus potentially larger caliper trees in terms of survivability?
So that probably arborists could respond to this this question better than me. For me, the bigger size of the trees, it's bigger risk for survival, but this is my perspective. I would like to arborists for this project just to confirm or to respond better.
Certainly, I agree in a general sense. A bigger caliper tree has probably less chance for success than would a regular caliper tree, say a 5 or 6 centimeter caliper tree, which is normal. It probably has a better chance for success than a 10 or an 8, which is actually a really big stalk. And if you put it in the wrong time being in the middle of the summer or in the middle of the winter, the chances for success are much lower.
The proposal is 8, right?
For this one, it's 10 centimeters, which is very, very, very big tree.
For the replacement tree, but the other 2 are 8, right?
Yes, the rest have been upsized to 8, yes.
So follow-up question on that. What then are you proposing to do to ensure that these new trees will be taken care of and that they will survive?
It's again, can I refer to the arborist for better resolution? For the first, from my perspective, is the timing, as was suggested. So not during the summer and not like winter time, should be the fall when the process is slower down. And good root barrier folding and can't digging, I suppose. But please, arborist, if you could suggest.
Okay, sure. No trouble.
Yeah,
Like, in
I'm kind
terms-
of into your like
In terms
your
of
speciality.
in terms of the requirements, that's what dictates the typical methods by which trees get planted. When in the planning process or in the arborist report, we'll put a clause which is required, which is to say that the tree must be planted to Canadian National Landscape Standards and with the City of Richmond standards. But in general, the replacement trees are planted by landscapers, and there's usually not a requirement for arborist participation during the planting of replacement trees. There is a inspection process which the city carries out, which is to say we've planted our tree, and the city confirms that the tree is planted. But there's not aside from the details that goes in at the planning stage, there's not a process for ensuring that arborist is present during the actual planting of the tree.
Yeah, probably not for watering as well and caring during the first year, like maintenance. That should be added like special notes as well. But it's, this is.
Madam Chair, if I may. In terms of long-term survivability of the tree, we do have a landscape bond to ensure these trees are planted. As indicated by the project arborist, we do not release that security until such time as the trees have been installed and inspected. There is a 10% holdback to ensure the trees survive a minimum of 1 year time. If there is concern related to the survivability of the trees, that maintenance period could be extended from 1 year to 2 years or beyond. With respect to conditions on the site, Dinatesta, if you could confirm there is on-site irrigation for all landscaped areas.
Yes, we have that requirement for entire soft landscape to be irrigated with design builder irrigation system. Yes.
So I think what I'm hearing to give the trees the best chance to survival is to have the arborist there at planting, even though that's not normal practice. So I would suggest that staff add that to the requirement and add the inspection to the requirement as well. And I'm glad to at least hear that there's an irrigation system. And I would suggest that we extend the holdback time beyond the 1 year. I would defer to Mr. Craig to make a suggestion, whether it's a 2 or 3 year that would be appropriate. I have to say, Mr. Cooper, you don't have any questions? You're on mute, sir.
My apologies, Madam Chair. Just one question. I'd like to ask the replacement tree for 593 that was removed. Will the oak initially be of the same height as the removed tree?
No, the tree which have been removed, it's a plum tree, fruit tree. And this is the replacement tree, it's columnar. Again, deciduous, but it's columnar and it's not fruit tree.
But it is an oak tree, yes?
Yeah.
An oak tree. So its anticipated mature height would be the same size? Or in height?
Much larger.
Larger, yeah. higher.
The tree that was removed, I'm looking at it in relation to there used to be an old garage near it, and the tree is about, I would say it's about 25 feet tall, or was about 25 feet tall.
Yeah, it's just
It's
columnar,
quite
so it's, yes, the
More
crown,
compact.
yeah, more compact, but it will be higher.
The height will be much higher than
Yes.
the plum tree, presumably,
Yes.
given
Yeah.
the species. Okay.
Yeah.
But in its initial in the initial planting stage, it would be less high than the tree that was removed. Any chance that you can have more of a specimen size tree, or is the 10 centimeters the largest that you can recommend?
This is from my perspective, and for this space, it's the largest, yeah.
Okay. May I ask Mr. Thrale if he's planted or replaced the oak specimen with any larger caliper trees?
Larger? No, and I wouldn't
No.
recommend it either. I would suggest a larger caliper tree would have less chance for success.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because it will have existed in a long time where it's been. A 10 centimeter tree is quite big. Its roots are quite big. And in order to be successful in planting it, it's a very large root mass that needs to be transported and handled and planted. And the logistics are very difficult. And the change, the shock that the tree would receive will be greater on a more larger specimen than it would be on a smaller one.
So just one further question, forgive me, is that so the planting of the oak tree would happen prior to the construction of the units? How are you going to phase this to get that large root ball into the site? There would have to be some consideration that was done prior to, even if it's how many meters away from the town, the duplex unit, the duplex building. So would there need to be some consideration of on-site protection or on-site care of that tree once it's planted in front of the construction of that building?
Most commonly, replacement trees are planted after the building is constructed, and I would recommend that to be the case here, just because there are so many moving parts beyond control happening on a construction site. You'd want the planting of the replacement trees to be one of the last things to occur.
Well, I'm just looking at the site plan. It seems pretty hard to, you describe a very large root mass. It seems pretty hard to get it in between the two duplex structures after they've been built. What would be the diameter of the root ball?
Typically would be about 6 times the size of the trunk. So 6 times 10 would be the radius about. So the diameter of that would be about 1.2 meters. You would expect.
Okay.
That will fit. That will fit around the back of the building.
Okay. No further questions.
Thank you. I guess I will just make a couple comments. This unfortunately is not the first time we've seen somebody, promise to save trees and then damage the trees and remove the trees after they've promised to save it. And our council has very little tolerance for that, just for future reference. And it's really unfortunate, because the more of these things happening, the harder it is for in the future for developers, not just yourself, or other developers when they need to come in to look at removing trees and having tight sites. So I would just say that nobody's doing anybody a favor by not following the process and the procedures that you have signed off on. And you in this case, you end up having to forego $10,000, which is a large number. Hopefully that's sufficient deterrent for any future tree damages, and having a team around you, having an arborist, having a landscape architect should have prevented this, and it hadn't. So I'm not going to point fingers as to who is responsible. You guys would know who is on your team. And so I would say that given how far along the project is, reluctantly, I think, we will have to do something to assist the project from proceeding. And so I would recommend that we ensure, this is direction to staff, to ensure that the arborist is on site at planting, and that there will be regular inspections to make sure that the site condition is suitable to nurture the trees. Because if the tree dies within the 1 year, or within, I would recommend at least a 2-year holdback, unless Mr. Craig thinks that anything longer is feasible. We will have to do this all over again, and trust us, next time the tree we'll be asking for will be much, much bigger. So I don't know if either of my colleagues would like to make any comments before we
Just Madam Chair, just to clarify, I think on the 2-year holdback, is that 2 years of reporting as well? Maybe staff could respond to that.
Through the chair, yes. What we will be requiring based on council direction is a revised arborist contract that would commit the arborist to being on site during planting. The arborist will also be required to provide progress reports for a period of 2 years. We will not release the maintenance security until the end of 2 years following planting.
Okay, thank you.
And my apology, I remiss in asking Mr. Clerk whether there's any public to speak on this project.
Madam Chair, we have no members of the public registered to speak for this meeting.
Okay, and is there any letters?
Nothing, Madam Chair.
Thank you. So I guess this leads us to panel deliberation, which, I started off saying that, very reluctantly, I think we will move this project forward. And I would like to hear, if there's any comments from my colleagues.
Nothing further from me, Madam Chair. I think the additional year and inspection, et cetera, and reporting helps the matter.
No further comments, Madam Chair.
Thank you. So if we can, we can consider a staff recommendation now. Can somebody move the recommendation then?
So moved.
Seconded by Mr. Cooper. Okay. All those in favor? Okay. All right. Well, you've got it. So please take us seriously when we let you know that the city takes trees very seriously, and in the future, please take that into consideration. So thank you. And then I think the next, there's no new business, Mr. Craig.
Madam Chair, the next scheduled meeting of the panel is for January 18th, 2023. We do not have any items for that agenda. That meeting can be.
We do not have anything for January 18th, or that is the next one.
No, that is the next scheduled
Okay.
meeting. There are no agenda items. That meeting can be canceled through resolution.
Okay. So move then.
Second.
Okay. Thank you. On a lighter note, end of year, Merry Christmas, or however you celebrate the holiday season. So we will see you next time, and the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.